The Galactic Council Chamber was never quiet. It was a place of shouting voices, glowing holograms, and urgent reports from across the stars. But today, every voice fell silent. A single message had arrived. It was not sent to the Council as a whole. It was sent to one person. That person was Captain Daniel Rook. He sat in the center of the chamber, feeling the weight of every alien eye on him. The council leader, an insectoid diplomat with shining green armor plates, repeated the message for all to hear. The Queen of the Falren Empire requests a private meeting with one human. That human is Daniel Rook. A low murmur spread through the chamber. The Falren were not allies. They were enemies, deadly ones. Humanity had been at war with them for almost 20 years. Millions had died on both sides. Daniel was not just any soldier. He was the last survivor of the siege of Volterra, battle where an entire human fleet had been destroyed. His escape had made him a legend. To the Falren, he was a dangerous enemy. So why was their queen calling for him? The insectoid diplomat read the second line of the message. One night, one decision. No war if you accept. The room fell silent again. No one understood. No one trusted it. This had to be a trap. The Falren were masters of deception. The Draxian delegate, a towering lizard-like warrior, hissed, "Do not go, human. You will not return alive." Others agreed, but Daniel kept thinking. If she spoke the truth, if one decision could end the war, could he refuse? He rose from his seat. His voice was steady. "I'll go." Gasps filled the chamber. The council leader shook his head. "You understand you may not come back?" Daniel gave a small smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I didn't expect to live this long anyway." The journey the next day, Daniel stood on the deck of a small diplomatic shuttle. No weapons, no escort, just him and the pilot. Outside the viewport, the darkness of space stretched endlessly. Ahead, the Queen's flagship grew larger. It was not a warship like human designs. The Falren flagship was like a floating palace, built with smooth curves and silver towers that reached into the void. The closer they came, the more its scale became clear. Daniel had heard stories about it. Whole cities could fit inside. Its docking bays. Its halls were lined with treasures from 100 conquered worlds. The Queen ruled from here, and when she moved, the Empire moved with her. As they approached, the ship's massive gates opened without a single weapon lock. This was strange. The Falren never dropped their guard, not even for allies. Daniel felt the hair on the back of his neck rise. This was too easy. The Queen's hall, the docking bay, was silent when Daniel stepped out. Guards in black and silver. Armor stood in 2 perfect lines, their long rifles resting against their shoulders. None moved. None spoke. Daniel walked between them. His boots echoed on the polished floor. At the far end of the hall, enormous golden doors opened. Beyond them, the Queen's throne room waited. It was breathtaking high ceilings of crystal, walls lined with banners from 1,000 worlds. The air smelled faintly of strange flowers, sweet but sharp. And there she was. The Queen sat on a throne of black stone, her crown shaped like curling silver wings. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dim light eyes that were not quite human, but almost. She wore no armor, only a flowing gown of deep crimson. When she spoke, her voice was calm, but carried across the vast room. "Captain Daniel Rook, you stand before me at last." Daniel stopped a few meters from her, watching every small movement. "You wanted me here. I'm here. Why?" The Queen rose. Her steps were slow, deliberate. She circled him once, studying him like a predator considering prey. "Because you are not like the others. You fight when you should flee. You survive when you should die, and you understand the cost of war." Daniel kept his voice cold. I also understand what your fleets have done to my people. The queen's lips curved into the smallest smile. And yet, here you stand, willing to speak. She stopped in front of him. One night, one choice. That is what I offer. Share my table, share my time, hear my proposal. If you accept, the war ends. If you refuse, it continues until one of our species is gone. Suspense builds. Daniel felt the weight of her words. This was no casual meeting. What could one night mean for an entire war? What was she truly offering, peace or something else? Why choose him of all people? He met her gaze. Then I'll hear it. But know this, if this is a trick, I will take you down with me. The queen's smile widened ever so slightly. Good. I prefer men who are dangerous. The golden doors closed behind him. The rest of the galaxy could only wait. Captain Daniel Rook's shuttle drifted toward the Thalrin flagship, Empress of Stars. From a distance, it looked like a dark moon covered in silver lights. As it grew larger, Daniel saw the massive towers, the glowing spires, and the endless rows of weapon ports, enough firepower to destroy an entire fleet in seconds. The pilot beside him whispered, "Sir, are you sure about this? One wrong move, and we won't even have time to scream." Daniel kept his eyes on the looming warship. If this works, no one else will have to die. Inside the Empress of Stars, the docking bay was so large it could hold 10 battleships. The moment Daniel stepped out, rows of armored guards surrounded him. Their armor shimmered like liquid metal, their faces hidden behind curved masks. No one spoke. The silence was heavy. A tall alien approached, a Thalrin noble by the way his robes floated, as if carried by unseen wind. His voice was deep, echoing in the vast bay. "The queen awaits. You will follow. You will not speak until spoken to." Daniel nodded, but inside, his mind raced. He had studied the Thalron for years. Ruthless warriors, skilled manipulators. Why would their queen call him alone? They walked through endless golden corridors. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, and each step Daniel took seemed to echo louder than the last. The air smelled faintly of burning incense and something sweeter, almost intoxicating. Finally, they reached 2 massive doors, each engraved with images of battles, victories, and the queen herself, tall, beautiful, with eyes that seemed to pierce through time. The noble stopped. "She will see you now." The doors opened silently, revealing a hall larger than any cathedral Daniel had seen. The floor was made of black crystal, reflecting the light from thousands of hovering orbs. And at the far end, seated on a throne made of living vines and gold, was the queen of the Thalren. She was nothing like Daniel had expected. Her skin glowed faintly, her hair flowed like molten silver, and her eyes, deep violet, watched him with the calm intensity of someone who already knew every thought in his mind. She wore no crown, yet her presence alone felt heavier than the walls of the ship. "Captain Daniel Rook," she said, her voice smooth, almost musical. "The man who survived Valter. The man who has killed more of my soldiers than any other. Human alive." Daniel said nothing. He could feel every guard's gaze on him, ready to strike if he made one wrong move. The queen smiled slightly. "You are here because you interest me, and because you will decide the fate of 2 civilizations in one night." Daniel frowned. "And what exactly does that mean?" She leaned forward, her eyes locking on his. "It means you must choose between ending this war forever, or letting it burn until both our worlds are ash." There was no hint of humor in her voice, no trick in her expression. But Daniel knew nothing about this could be simple, because in the center of the throne room, between them, stood a table with only 2 items, a silver goblet filled with glowing liquid, and a dagger made of black crystal. And Daniel suddenly realized whatever choice he made tonight, would change everything. The Queen of the Thalrin did not rush her words. She moved slowly, circling Daniel like a predator studying prey. Every step she took made the golden chains on her gown shimmer in the low light. "You know why you are here, Captain Rook," she sighed, her voice calm but sharp as a blade. Daniel kept his eyes on her. "I'm here because you invited me, and because you promised no war if I agree to something." Her lips curved into a faint smile. "Correct, but promises mean nothing in this galaxy without trust." She stepped closer, so close that Daniel could see the reflection of his own scarred face in her amber eyes. "You humans fight like no other species," she said. "You are stubborn, reckless, and impossible to control. That is why my generals hate you. But she paused, "I see value in you." Daniel's heart pounded. He couldn't tell if she meant him personally or humanity as a whole. "Value?" he asked cautiously. "Enough to end a war?" The Queen turned away and walked toward the massive window at the end of the hall. Beyond it, the stars stretched forever, cold and distant. "One night," she said again. "We speak, we share, we decide. If you refuse, the Thalren fleets will burn your colonies until nothing remains." Daniel clenched his fists. "You're asking me to gamble billions of lives on a conversation?" She looked over her shoulder. "Not just a conversation, Captain. A test." Before he could ask more, a sound like deep thunder rolled through the chamber. The floor trembled. Daniel's hand went instinctively to his sidearm, but the Queen raised her hand. "Do not be alarmed. That is the call of oaths. When it sounds, no lie can be spoken in my presence." Daniel froze. No lie? He had heard rumors of such things, ancient Thalren technology that could detect dishonesty on a molecular level. If she had activated it, then whatever he said tonight would be the truth. And whatever she said, he could trust as well. The Queen walked back toward him, stopping just a step away. "So tell me, Captain Rook, if I offered you the chance to save your people forever, but it required something only you could give, would you take it?" Daniel hesitated. The room was so silent he could hear his own breathing. "What exactly are you asking for?" he said. Her answer was a whisper, soft but heavy with meaning. "Everything." The throne room seemed to close in around Captain Daniel Rook. The golden light dimmed, shadows stretching like claws across the walls. The Queen's eyes held his, steady and unblinking. "Waiting. She spoke slowly, as if each word was a weight pressing down on them both. "You want to know what I mean by everything," she said. "It means more than land or ships. It means your loyalty, your life, your future, and your heart." Daniel's breath caught. His mind raced. Loyalty? Life? Future? Heart? What was she asking of him? The Queen stood and stepped closer. Her voice softened. "I offer peace. But peace must be sealed by trust, by union. Marry me, Daniel. Become my consort. Together, our empires will rise. Together, we will end this war forever." He stared, stunned. A marriage proposal from the enemy queen herself. It was unthinkable. His people would call him a traitor. His commanders would never forgive him. But if he said no, countless lives would be lost. Daniel's hand clenched at his side. "You want me to betray my own people?" "No," she said, shaking her head. "I want you to save them. But the choice is yours. Say yes, and you save billions. Say no, and watch your world burn." The walls trembled again. The call of oaths echoed softly in the distance, reminding them that lies were impossible here. Daniel looked at the silver goblet on the table, the symbol of acceptance, and the black dagger, a symbol of rejection. His heart pounded. The weight of the galaxy pressed on his shoulders. Seconds stretched into minutes. Finally, Daniel spoke. The silence in the throne room was so deep, it felt like the stars outside had stopped shining. Captain Daniel Rook's eyes flicked between the two symbols on the table, the silver goblet glowing softly, and the black dagger resting cold and dark. The Queen watched him, her violet eyes calm but waiting. "You have your choice, Daniel. What will it be?" His hand trembled. Every part of him screamed to say no, to refuse the alliance, to fight to the last breath. But the faces of millions of humans flashed before him. Families, children, soldiers, lost in the endless war. Slowly, he reached out and grasped the goblet. The room filled with a soft, warm light as he raised the glowing drink to his lips. The liquid tasted strange sweet, with a hint of bitterness, but it burned away his fear and doubt. The Queen smiled, a rare, genuine smile. "You have made a brave choice." Suddenly, the doors to the throne room burst open. Alien soldiers stormed inside, their weapons raised. Daniel barely had time to react as blaster fire filled the air. The Queen's expression darkened. "They do not want this peace." Daniel dove behind the throne, pulling out his blaster. He fired quickly, taking down 2 attackers. The Queen moved with surprising speed, her own guards appearing to defend her. "This is only the beginning," she said, firing back at the soldiers. "The Council will not accept this union easily." Daniel nodded. "Then we fight. Together." The battle raged through the palace halls, echoing with shouts and laser blasts. Daniel and the Queen fought side by side, each saving the other more than once. But Daniel's mind was already racing ahead. This was no longer just about a choice. It was about survival for both their people's dot as they stood in the throne room. Again, panting and wounded, the Queen said, "We must make this alliance known. The galaxy must see we are united." Daniel agreed. No more hiding. The war ends now, or it ends us all. Together, they prepared a broadcast, sending a message of peace and power across the stars. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as the human captain and the alien Queen announced the dawn of a new era. The Queen's private hall was quiet, too quiet. No guards, no servants, only her and Daniel. She stood by the massive window, looking at the stars. Her voice was calm. "It's time to choose, Captain Rook." Daniel felt his heart beating faster. "And if I say no?" Her eyes turned cold. "Then, the war continues. Your people will burn. My people will bleed. And one day, there will be nothing left but dust." He stepped closer. "And if I say yes?" Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "Then you and I will rule together. 2 worlds, 1 throne. You will have the power to end all wars. But you will belong to me." Daniel could hear his father's voice in his mind, warning him never to trust a Thalrin. He also remembered the faces of the soldiers who had died under his command. This choice wasn't just for him. It was for billions. The Queen moved closer until they were only a step apart. "One word, Captain. Yes or no?" Daniel's mind raced. If he refused, Earth would fight until its last ship was gone. If he accepted, humanity might survive, but under her rule. He looked into her eyes and saw something unexpected, not just ambition, but loneliness. For a moment, he wondered if the war had been her way of reaching for someone strong enough to stand beside her. Outside the window, his ship hovered in the void. He knew his crew was waiting for a signal, either to take him home or avenge his death. He took a deep breath. "Your Majesty," he said, "I'll give you my answer. But first, tell me the truth. Why me?" Her answer was soft, almost a whisper. "Because you are the only human I cannot predict. You are the only one who makes me unsure." Daniel's hand tightened into a fist. The galaxy hung on the edge of his decision. One word from him would decide the fate of 2 civilizations. And then he spoke. But no one outside that room would ever know what he said. All they knew was that when the Queen's flagship emerged from hyperspace the next day, it was not leading a fleet of war. It was escorting a single human ship. And for the first time in decades, the guns of the galaxy fell silent.